Okay, welcome back, Novelteers. If you've watched some of my other prologue videos, you know I have very strong opinions about prologues. But today we're going to talk about something that's new to books, the future prologue. This one is different than all the other prologues I've talked about. This one is special, and something that only came about in the modern age. Older books do not utilize this technique, but you can, and it can really keep your readers' interest. I'm Devlin Blake, novel writing and self-publishing expert, coach, published author, and former ghostwriter of 200 books. If you're writing a book, be sure to check out my Novel Writers Club at the link below. So, the future prologue. What the heck is it, and where did it come from? Well, this type of prologue started in movies and TV and has now made the jump into books. In the 1970s and 80s, a TV show would show you coming attractions, which were clips of the upcoming show to pique your interest and hold your attention through the slow parts. In the last few decades, movies have done this with a future prologue, a scene taken out of context that only makes sense once you've seen the entire thing. That's a future prologue. So let's look at an example. And I've chosen 2007's Dark Mirror. MC Deborah wakes up in her bed. On one side of her is a child about 7 or 8. I'm not really good with ages. This is Ian, her son. On the other side of her is a dead man. His glassy eyes stare up towards the ceiling. This is Jim, her husband. Deborah and the bed are covered in blood. So of course this immediately raises the question of whether or not she's the one who killed him. Then the movie starts with 3 months later. That is the future prologue. It proceeds forward until we reach that prologue part and then keeps going forward until the end of the movie. We aren't back in the present day. By the time the movie ends, we're a little bit past that. The story just continues on for a few more scenes. We see what Deborah does with the body, and we see when the police comes, and we see the ending. But the fact that we saw the scene earlier never comes up again. Now, this is an actual slow burn type of movie, which means if you didn't know what was coming, you probably wouldn't have stayed with it because you had no idea where it was going. But now, you know where it's going, so you want to see how it got there. Because unlike the traditional prologue, a future prologue does not change the story in the slightest. It's also not its own self-contained story. That scene I just described is not a self-contained story. It's a promise of what's to come. However, if the future prologue was skipped, we might not have watched this movie all the way to the end, because as I said, it's got a very slow build-up. While this adds to the suspense, it's not for everyone or for every genre. It's mostly used for slow burn horror and thriller novels. Future prologues are great at keeping people's attention through a slow build-up. The only caveat is you have to make sure the payoff is worth it to your reader. Was the one in Dark Mirror worth it? I would say about half and half. Personally, I loved it. But according to the reviews, the other viewers were expecting more gore and a more dramatic payoff because of that prologue. So once again, we have the old bait-and-switch prologue that badly written prologues are famous for. Your prologue cannot be the most interesting part of your story or you'll annoy your readers. This is true if you're writing past or future prologues. They need to set the proper tone for the rest of the story. This is the one time you don't want to practice misdirection. Just tell the readers what they're going to get. Show them what they're going to get. And then keep that promise. And that's about it for future prologues. If you'd like to learn more about how to write a story, check out my links in the description below on how to work with me. And remember to like and subscribe to see more videos on writing and publishing your novel. Until next time, this is Devlin Blake saying, write on.